So all of this is torqued down. What I'm wary of is that I've put the tensioner in. I think I need to back the tensioner out just while securing the head, because there's a bit of pressure on it now. So I'll back that off, take the pressure off. We've got the straight lines again. We've got our top dead center down here. We've checked by the piston that it's our true top dead center, although they are so close, these ones, that I'm not 100% sure, because they seem very kind of close to each other. We've torqued all the screws down as well. If I just forced the head down now, which would be okay, it just puts a bit of pressure on that I'm not too keen on, so I'm going to back off there, bit simply unbolting it a touch, get the head put on. Now the valves on this one, when you're putting them on with the lobes, they should be facing down because they're pressing when they're facing up. And actually in last week's video, technically they were facing up, so I'd done them wrong. In most of the other bikes I've done, you'd face them up, but then you'd have your valves here just above. So slight mistake, but nothing to worry about. So let me do that. So all I've got to do is ease off the tensioner, just to take away some of the strain. Torque down the head properly. Only the head, the rest is done. And then it would be carb on. That reminds me, actually, I need to take the carb manifold off here, which that looks like a really weird screw. What kind of screw is that? That's going to be a pain, isn't it? I'm going to have to put a slit in that using the Dremel, I bet. Unless there's a spare in here. Well, of course there's not. I'll work that out. It is something we'll get done because we need it. And then we'll chuck that onto there. And then I think it would be silly not to put the exhaust on and stuff. And the carb. And technically we should have a bike that we're considering starting today. From a timing point of view, I think it's 12:30, 1. I'm not going to be here much longer today. So I'll get as much done as I can. Then I'm going to go and rest for a bit. Let's get the top. Let's get the engine back together. Let's have it an engine where the chain tension's right and stuff. Let's get all that bit done first, and then anything else will follow. So that's all done. Now I've loosened it off so much that we've got way too much slack. That's normal. We're still at top dead center. I've double checked that. So we now set these at 0.10. Same as always, I'm not going to film it. Just get your gauge underneath, tighten it down. It should have a little bit of drag, and if it's 0.10, then you should be fine anyway, because you're kind of in the middle. 0.08 would work, 0.12 would work, but 0.10 is kind of the middle setting for both. If you were being really picky, it would be 0.08 for one and 0.10 for the other, but do them both at 0.10 and you'll be absolutely fine. Spot on. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm not even considering the rest of the bike yet, because I'd need to hear this. One thing I tested last week was that the bolts go into the head for the exhaust, because that would have been a really annoying issue. We know that the thread for the spark plug is fine because we had the compression tester in. These are the things that can pop up now. The threads for the intake manifold should be fine. If I can, of course, get that off in the end, I will. But this is the nitty gritty now. So let me set these valves, and at least that bit's done. I'm even going to chuck on the caps and everything up there. Actually, I think let me do the chain tensioner now, just so it's all at its kind of final destination, and then I'll set the valves, and yeah, we'll go from there. So simple slit on that. When you've got one of them weird bolts that looks like nothing, simple slit, hand hacksaw. And I mean, I've loosened it so I can show you with this one, and then you've got your to be fair, you can reuse that, there's no issue with that. That's a 10, just nip that off, chuck this back onto the new engine head. Yeah, I mean, we're looking alright at the moment. it's kind of 1:30. I don't know if I'm gonna get it started today, but it's looking alright. It's not far off pressing the button at all. Of course, if we can get it kind of started today and tomorrow, and if it happened really luckily to feel like a normal bike with brakes and stuff and a gearbox, then we could just kind of go over it this week from an MOT point of view. And if we were extremely lucky, Rabjab could get an MOT on it next Saturday and just throw some insurance on it. I've got the logbook. He could have a kind of riding bike. What I said to him was, if his bike happens to come back and is usable and we can get it back on the road, or if his insurance pays out for him to get a new bike, then I'll take this back. You know, the truth is, Rabjab's not charity. I mean, he's fine. He could go and buy a cheap bike if he wanted to. He could buy this cheap bike if he wanted to. So I don't mind loaning it to him, and then we'll see where we go from there. His bike may never come back, but the insurance should pay out. And if they do, knowing Rabjab, he'll go and buy a newer bike. If that's the case, I definitely want this back. I want, you know, for more reasons than one. I want to see how it's running, and so on. He's straight away talking about getting a 180 kit put on it. You know, if he bought the kit, I wouldn't mind putting the kit on it for him. But at the moment, if it's a riding bike, I'll leave it alone. Alright guys, so look, carb's on, exhaust is on. Might be timed, valves might be done. Let's chuck some fuel into this carb. It might hold the fuel. Definitely no airbox yet. I think I'd be ordering an original airbox. I doubt this is tuned to run that funny little cone. Technically now, I mean, the battery won't be good enough. It could start and run. I'm just making sure the carb holds the fuel. I need to throw the spark plug in. I need to throw the coil on. I think I took the coil off. And then technically, you better bring it in, John. Technically, it should run. It's extremely high hopes because we need a slightly bigger battery, but we'll hook it to John's car after if we need it. But technically, it's got fuel, it's got a spark plug, it's got a coil. It might do something. Bit of choke. Drum roll. It shouldn't have enough juice. It's got a slight bad connection somewhere.
On the car?
1 minute, John. Let's I need to have a look at the connections. Ah, there you go. Yeah, let's throw it on the leads, John. First fire up. Fail. Second attempt with power. I can hear a bit of engine rattle. I think that suits Rab Jab down to the ground.
Yeah, he won't get nicked. You're not going to find, won't get his number plate.
So, what's your theory?
Piston rings, isn't it?
Piston rings. That was always a possibility because we didn't know what.
What else can it be?
We didn't know what was being done at the time. What I do know now is that I can rebuild this engine. I do know that.
You put your 150 head on it.
I haven't got one.
Oh.
Tomorrow.
You could always try that thing, putting some fluid down the balls and see if it unfreeze the rings.
They did look a bit. What's the mileage on this? They did look a bit. They didn't look great.
They look a bit oval.
Wow, it's done 24,000. Yeah, it's due. It's due a new piston, John.
Yeah, but even at 24,000, if it's been looked after, it shouldn't do that.
No, it's Chinese.
If you look after it.
John, it's Chinese. There's no Chinese bike out there that's done 24,000 miles.
This one has.
Well, most of them were pushed. Someone left the ignition on. So, oil's coming up the rings and out the exhaust.
Yeah, I suppose so. But then you've got such good compression. It's the oil ring that's gone, isn't it?
That would give you good compression if oil's coming up though, wouldn't it? I know what you're saying though, you could just change the piston rings.
If you're going to go to that bottom, you might as well just uprate it.
Yeah.
What's the bottom end like though?
You could only check that once you've taken the head off. You could check for free play, couldn't you? I mean, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll spend the day breaking it back down. I mean, you know, it's not. There's a hero and a zero here, isn't there?
Well, it runs. You know, it's a running way. It's not running. That wouldn't pass an MOT, surely.
If it was a bike that ran coolant, then that would be head gasket.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. So you're right. It's got to be oil coming up. It'll start. I'll lay money on it though.